was always black, but I was not always Jack.
Who were you?
At the age of 10, his world was shattered due to his parents' divorce.
I remember my parents fighting when I was a little boy, and I was...
By 14, he was spiraling down a dark path of addiction with cocaine and substance abuse.
A lot of drugs have filtered through these brain synapses.
Decades later, the same struggling kid would become one of Hollywood's most beloved figures, only to face public backlash while advocating for mental health awareness.
We should do some weightlifting together. You could teach me some tips.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm gonna get your phone number. We can work out together.
And then nearly losing the legendary band he built for over 3 decades due to a single joke his friend made. Yet at 55, Jack Black continues to crush, breaking records and winning hearts across both film and music. This is the saga of a man who embodies what it truly means to be tenacious. The year was 1969, and Thomas Jacob Black was introduced to the world by 2 brilliant NASA engineers.
The 60s is when we went to the moon. John F. Kennedy.
When Jack was just 10, his parents' marriage fell apart, leaving him questioning his own worth and wondering if there was something wrong with him
I
inside.
remember my parents fighting when I was a little boy, and I was so scared of their anger towards each other, I ran into a room. We just hid in there for a while.
Through this difficult time, Jack's stepfather became an important figure during his part of
My
his life.
stepdad drove me to all the auditions, and the first time I got paid for performing, it was an acting job for Atari, and I had a safari hat on.
Just last night, I was locked in the jungle with Pitfall Harry.
I wanted nothing more than to show my friends at school
That I was a
I became addicted very fast to the stage, getting the laughs. It was like a drug.
Those early sparks of talent manifested in Jack's first taste of the spotlight. But behind his outgoing and charismatic personality, Jack was wrestling with his own demons inside.
Kind of a bummer when you're a kid going on all those auditions and not getting parts. It's kind of depressing, so I quit. I quit the industry.
He started hanging out with the wrong crowd, experimenting with acid, cocaine, and anything else that could numb the pain. And by 14 years old, he was deep into addiction.
I was a handful, though. I had struggles with drugs, and there was lots of reasons she shoulda, woulda, coulda kicked me to the curb, but she didn't.
You were very advanced. You got into it way earlier.
I did. And acid, too.
College should have been a fresh start, but UCLA just couldn't contain Jack's creative side. Instead, he dropped out to join the Actors Gang.
And I was at UCLA doing theater there, but I was still keeping an eye on the Actors Gang. And then an opportunity came up to get a little part, some songs into the show. So I quickly became one of the musical people in the gang. No looking back. And I was not going back to UCLA, and I didn't tell my parents for a while.
This bold move eventually led Jack to his first step on an incredible journey to stardom.
We got a band. We play some of your songs. We play Retake America and This Land Was Made for You and Me.
I remember Spike Lee was in the audience, and he gave me a nice compliment on my performance. Even though it was a small part, it meant a lot to me. And I thought, this is it. I kick ass in a major motion picture. Now the career is going to take off, but then nothing happened, and I couldn't get any work for like 10 years.
Throughout the 90s, Jack continued to work on a total of 39 different TV and film jobs. But unfortunately, none of these roles got him famous or
A
noticed.
long, dry season in there, and I got little parts here and there, but nothing that really helped me climb the mountain.
In the game, Jack became buddies with one of the musicians whose
That's
name
where I
was
met
Kyle Gass.
and that's where the seeds for Tenacious D were first planted. He's a great guitarist. He was going to give me some lessons. He's going to teach me how to rock.
United by their love of comedy and rock music, they gave birth to Tenacious D.
Being rock stars and wanting to be rock stars and thinking we're rock stars, it's so dumb. It's so wrong. This is a bad idea, and there's something hilarious about how bad this idea is. And I just felt like there's something
The
here.
two had chemistry and stage presence like never seen before. Their mixed range of antics and comedy and over-the-top performances quickly caught the attention of Pro Jam and the Foo Fighters.
I know that the guy from the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl.
Yes.
He saw us before we were big. You know, we were playing at the Viper Room, and
And that's really ultimately how I got High Fidelity, is because John Cusack liked Tenacious D. The director, Stephen Frears, is one of my all-time favorites to work with.
you would do a take, and he would go, good, it's fun. I wouldn't say anything, but in my mind, I was like, he hates me.
this
Really?
fucking sucks. So I came out of the gate windmilling.
And you start singing Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. It cuts to John Cusack's face and his eyebrows go up. Moment, my eyebrows went up. Everyone in the theater at every screening, their eyebrows went up. And I think that's the first time probably most of the world found out, like, that you can really sing. I've been really trying, baby, to hold on to this feeling for so
Just acting as though my life depended on it.
Let's get it on.
At the after party, George Clooney came up, and I was with my mom, and he said, "That was fucking incredible." And my mom just about shat her pants.
And I knew that it had tremendous potential. Felt like the planets had aligned for me.
After this, Jack had the attention of everyone in the industry. In 2003, Jack starred in The School of Rock as Dewey Finn.
This is the best film of my career. We had the first reading of it before we even started shooting, and we read it out loud, and I was like, this fucking rules.
Kids and parents that come up to me and go, "My kid started playing guitar because of that movie." And that feels like it affected a positive change in the world of a lot of kids, which is the
He
best.
played the role so perfectly that it earned him his first Golden Globe nomination
Black,
and the Best
School of
Comedy
Rock.
Film Award for that year.
Coming off of School of Rock, I was just like riding high on a cloud when my agent was like, "What do you want to do now? What kind of movie you want to make?" I said, "Well, I just saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and God, those movies are so good. If I could ever be in a Peter Jackson film, but I know that's never gonna
In
happen."
2005, determined to prove he wasn't just a one-trick pony, Jack made a genre shift from comedy to action-adventure by starring in Peter Jackson's remake of the King Kong.
And then, like, the next day, I get a call from my agent saying, "Dude, Peter Jackson wants you to be in King Kong." I was like, "What?
Will there be boobies?
Boobies?"
Jigglies, Jablonkers, Bazooms.
And I went and met them, and they didn't want me to audition or anything. They said, "So do you want to be in our movie?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I do."
But just as his career was really starting to take off, Jack relapsed into drug use during the movie's production. However, with the success of King Kong and his first child now on the way, Jack knew that this was the time
you've
to
got me all
change.
wrong. Miss Darrow, please. I'm not that type of person at all.
What type of person are
He quit smoking and drugs and took up sobriety, and by 2006, Jack had created his own unique brand of comedy with instant classics and movies with huge cult followings like Nacho Libre, The Pick of Destiny, and Tropic Thunder.
Remember way back when I said your mother was a cankerous whore?
It was such a hit. It was way bigger than I even anticipated.
When his second son was born in 2008, Jack started to shift his priorities.
You've got two boys, haven't you?
Yeah, I do.
Instead of starring in 5 to 6 movies per year like before, he drastically reduced his roles to only 1 or 2 movies per year. He traded major productions for recording booths so he'd have more time to spend with his family. And this ultimately created one of his most beloved characters, Po, in Kung Fu Panda.
Stand back. I'm gonna kick my butt.
A decade and a half later, the franchise is a whopping $2.3 billion international success, spawning 4 movies, hundreds of episodes, games, and toys for billions of kids everywhere.
Well, I guess the marketing campaign is working.
That's what I said to him.
Oh my God. That thing was a hit. We got to do another
The
one.
great thing about all of the Kung Fu Pandas is that everyone loves Po.
And in 2018, Jack created a YouTube channel to connect with a wider audience while also spending more time with his sons, whom he made an editor and a videographer for his channel.
That started because of my son Sammy. He directed that first episode and edited it himself. It's 30 seconds long.
I know,
And
yeah.
he posted it, and suddenly it had 10 million views, this little video. I was like, what the hell is happening?
But even with all the success behind him, Jack faced criticism when he showed support for a group called Autism Speaks. On his latest film, Minecraft, Jack got even more criticism to the point where he started to
There's
doubt
always so many
himself.
people that are sensitive to everything you put out there. But now I'm like, I don't know, let's see what everyone else thinks because I don't trust myself anymore.
This continued when he showed his political support at a fundraiser for President Biden in June of 2024. And in less than a month, Tenacious D got into serious trouble after Kyle Gass made a really inappropriate joke about the assassination attempt of President Trump.
Don't miss Trump next time.
The fallout was nuclear. Not only did the Australian government demanded their immediate deportation, Kyle was dropped by his talent agency, and Jack had no choice but to put Tenacious D on an indefinite hiatus and canceling the rest of their tour. He made it clear to everyone that he did not agree with what Kyle said, and he refocused on acting once again. Despite the movie's initial backlash and the hate, the box office exploded to almost $1 billion in revenue within the first month. Jack also broke the record of the shortest song to ever make the Billboard charts with a 34-second song called Steve's Lava Chicken. And by February of 2025, Tenacious D returned with a charity album to help the victims of the Southern California wildfires, showing that comeback stories aren't just for the movies. In the end, Jack Black is a classic example of what happens when you refuse to let ego or failure define your journey in life. It continues to grow, not because he's perfect, but because he stays true to himself.
I always play it like this is my last chance.
And that's the power of true tenacity.
That's Dragon Warrior!